Welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to go all in on their business, and we connect them with the business owners that can help them. Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Jake Belcher with Grand Theft Audio. How are you doing today?
Excellent. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. It's been a great day. I've had a few appointments already, and I think we've actually helped some people, so it's a good start. So we understand that time is one of the most valuable resources that we have.
True.
So let's jump right into it and tell us a little bit about yourself, Jake.
All right. My name's Jake Belcher. I'm at one point I was named the 50 most important person in internet broadcasting.
Nice.
At how'd that happen? What happened was I started getting into podcasting, getting my ideas out there. The only reason that I became successful is because I realized there's like 4 or 5 things that are like super important to keep in mind if you want to be, like a next level podcasting person. Here are those things.
Nice.
Okay, number 1, people don't like to say no.
Okay.
So like if you ask 100 people an outrageous request, a couple of them just can't say no. They don't have it inside of themselves. They don't have the self-confidence to be able to say no. Mm-hmm. So like all you have to do is just ask for outrageous things over and over from people, and eventually someone's going to say yes.
Nice.
So how did I use that? I started asking celebrities, like the biggest name celebrities you could find. We'd talk to Ozzy Osbourne, Cheech and Chong. We would talk to like the biggest names you could, and we'd find out they just like they were just nice. Mm-hmm. People can't say no because like they're incapable, just because like they want to be nice. So eventually we started getting this roster of gigantic stars we would get on our shows. So we would end up with, you can go to grandtheftaudio.com and look at grandtheftaudio.radio.com and look up our guest list. But if you look at it, it is insane. When you have Cheech and Chong in your studio for the first time doing their first appearance on anything in I think it was 8 years at that point.
Nice.
Just because we were nice and they can't say no.
Persistence.
Yeah.
Persistence.
And it also gets into the idea of vanity. Like you can get anybody to come on your show just about because people love talking about themselves. I mean, if you give people a chance to like come in and just talk about themselves, that's irresistible. Like people want to look smart on camera, and no one knows more about anything than they know about themselves. So come and talk about me. I would love to. And that was a very successful approach.
Awesome. Yeah, that is something we share all the time here as well when we are trying to meet people. So just get them to start talking.
Yeah.
The thing that they will always be ready to talk about is themselves. So
and there's so much to learn from that.
I know.
I mean, so here's something else that I learned from letting people talk about themselves. Producing all these other people's shows, I started seeing people who could listen to what was being said to them, and I started seeing people who couldn't listen to what was being said to them. And the people who were successful were the ones who could listen to what was being said to them. Like we'd have, like I said, we had Ozzy Osbourne on the air. So we have Ozzy on, and he's sitting there, and this host has a list of his questions, these 5 questions that he's going to ask, and he asks his first question, and the answer that Ozzy gave is so outrageous, so crazy, that a normal brain couldn't help but follow up some type of questions on what he had just heard. But in this situation, he wasn't even listening to the answer that was being given to him. You can see in his face that he's looking down his list to see like what his next question is and how he can get it in there. And like staying in the moment is super important. Listening to people, like I imagine in your line, if you hear like little clues on things, that tells you the directions you can go on how things work, and that's in every line of business.
Yes, that's right. You always have some sort of structure that you want to follow, but you have to go with the flow, because if someone is saying something that is super interesting, I do have a script that I try to follow.
Sure.
But if I have to ask a probing question, I'll say like, how did you do that? Or what is it that made that come about?
And in the end, that's what's going to like endear you to that person, because they feel heard then. Because like at that point, like, oh, this person isn't just looking down that. And that's how you end up getting, the good reputation for like the person that people want to deal with.
Right.
Another idea that you said there made me think of something like keeping like in the script and letting the flow of things go. Also, don't be afraid to do things different. Like, okay, watch. hey everyone, I'm over here. There's like no reason. I can be in front of Roderick and pretend he's not even hosting the show. Is he even on the show right now? Who knows? I mean, you could do your own thing all the time and like make people like stop you, I guess.
Right.
I mean, like,
Or let you go.
yeah, I mean, because like in the end, like you just do your own.
That's right. That's right. Nothing wrong with being an individual. Because we all have this, I guess, box people try to put us in, and those people who push that envelope, go a little bit further. Because if you stay in there, you'll just be a normal, regular person. So,
100%.
I get it.
It goes to the idea of make the world say no to you. Don't
Yes.
say no to yourself.
Yes.
There's
yes.
so many things that we let ourselves just like be stopped because we think, oh man, like that's not the way things are supposed to be done, or that's not the way it's supposed to go. But if you just kind of like, try to have fun with it.
Yes, yes.
Don't hurt people.
Yes,
but just
yes.
like do your own
Right,
fun and thing. And make the world say no to you. Don't
Yes.
say no to yourself.
Now, you were saying one of the things that helped you guys have some success was you just asked people, just kept asking them, and hey,
in every arena. It wasn't just for like people to come on and be guests. It was also to reach out and let people know that we existed. So everything we did, we would let like the LA Times know, and we would let the LA Weekly know. We would let all these other people know, like, just hey, can you write about us? Can you write about us? Can you write about us? And they don't like saying no either.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
like you start getting press, and you start getting big guests, and it all just snowballs on top of each other into something that is so much bigger than what the foundation that we had. I mean, none of us had ever had a TV credit. We didn't know anybody. I mean, we just became world-class beggars.
Yes. You never know. One of Jay's best things that he says is that closed mouths don't get fed. And that leads directly into what you're saying, because at the time you guys didn't have that clout about yourself. You guys were just trying to make something happen, but you consistently leaned on that tree, and then you guys started some fruit bearing from that. That's a excellent skills for our entrepreneurs to hear.
Sure, it works for every industry, I think. You just have to not give up.
Good. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now. Like, if the audience is listening, they know that you are helping with podcasts. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, most of the people I work with, I'm not actually allowed to say.
Okay.
Like, I helped launch a whole bunch of different video podcasts. So I went from launching Radio Titans to then moving over to a place called T Radio V, which was a place that I was producing 25 hours a week of different celebrity talk shows, and some of those have now gone on to be pretty successful. But I just come up with segments for them and stuff, and so they get 2 or 3 emails a week from me, are like, "This is what you guys should be talking on, and I have nothing else to do. Like, I became successful to the point that like I don't have to go to like a job in the morning and that type of lifestyle. So
that's awesome.
So that's pretty nice.
I'm about to say that is a good thing to have that freedom. Now, as I was looking at the bio that you put together, it said comedian. Now, as far as tell me a little bit about your comedic journey.
So one of the things that happened because, so when I was in the newspaper industry selling advertising, which is where like my real world experience came from that helped me get into making podcasting money. So the idea of selling advertising in a newspaper and selling advertising on a podcast wasn't that different to me. So I figured out how to like make some money to get this thing started initially. One thing that people always told me was that, Jake, you're so like funny, you should charge admission. I'm like, all right, like is that an insult, or like, I don't know what's happening. But I started the podcast, and then I ended up having all these comedians on. And then they started saying, "Hey, man, are you a stand-up comic?" I'm like, "Nah, I've never done it. I've never done it." Then I got challenged to go to the Laugh Factory and do it there.
Okay.
And that was 15 years ago.
Okay.
And now I've spent way too much of my time on stage in front of drunks. As someone who doesn't drink, way too much time in a room full of drunks trying to get them to laugh.
Yeah. Now, do you still have that one go-to joke or story that you can tell on the spot?
Sure. I mean, sure. I have, depending upon the situation, like you need to read the room where you're at, but I definitely have.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you to read this room right here, and go ahead and let's hear it.
Man. Oh, but that's terrible. A joke for the situation. Jumping as a comedian.
Yes.
Boy, I really am ill prepared for this situation.
Man. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah,
Listen, I was trying to go with the flow. I was going what you said. Go outside the box.
I can dig that, man. Yeah, I just didn't do a good job on that idea.
Hey, listen, that's no worries. It's okay. One of the things that you have been good
Yeah.
with is telling us about those skills that you have. Now, you said in the beginning it was 4 different things that you were working on. The first one was going ahead and asking those outrageous things. Tell us a couple more things that these entrepreneurs should be doing to try to help
Well,
build
definitely
their
one
business.
of them was the idea of getting up and changing the format of things. Like
Okay.
because I want one thing I would do that would make my thing stand out. I was in a studio that everybody else shared. So like in here, I would turn this TV upside down, so like it's going the wrong direction. I would just do things that make people like feel it's different, and
Yes.
like you're not with some place that's like the exact same. Now, okay, for your industry, like you need to make people feel safe.
That's correct. That's correct.
And like if you went in there and you had, hey, all these questions are upside down on your questionnaire just because it'd be fun, like for the viewers later. Like, oh no, we can't really do that.
Yes.
But in the creative world, try to be as creative as you can get. Like push the envelope until like it doesn't until it can't really be pushed anymore.
Right, right. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that because, again, there's just traditions in business and different industries, and people go with the flow. After speaking with you, I see it's important to push those boundaries at times. So that is a great skill for those business owners to acquire. Now, right now, inside of your business, you have been utilizing these things. How is it that the way you approach business will help you in the future so the entrepreneurs can hear how it can help them in the future?
I think that one thing you have to do is okay. So buy-in on other people is so important. I found the most successful that I've ever been is by making other people's dreams come true because you have 100% buy-in when it's someone else's dream. So if you can come in and you can find the way of like letting your skills help their dreams come true,
Okay.
like that is going to be the path to success. It's so much easier to have like full buy-in when it's someone else's dream.
Yes.
Because like that's what's motivating them. Then you just have to figure out how to be an oar. Like that person needs 1,000 oars to be able to get to where they're going, and you just want to be one of them that is not going to snap off in their hands.
Yes. Helping other people to be successful. I can definitely agree with that. My entire time that I've been in management or helping the sales reps, the more that I give to them to show them that I'm there to support them, the more successful they have been because it's about them being successful. Yes, I do get success from their success, but I just focus on them. And with that, like you said, they feel better about it because it's not just a task to be done. It is full buy-in because he cares. So that is a great skill. I definitely hope all of the entrepreneurs that are listening today can utilize that. Now, I always like to talk about the business. You shared some of those skills that you've acquired and nurtured over time, and they can use that in their business. But let's take the business part out. Let's say that you have gotten enough revenue from the podcast that you've created. You have satisfied that need of making everyone feel good, and it's just Jake. What is it that Jake would do?
Okay, honestly, so like I've had the same dream since I was like young for what I always wanted to do, and everything worked out.
Okay.
I want to like read stories to kids in like the library.
Okay.
I just want to use voices and be like, and then the witch went this way. I just want to. I would love to just read stories to kids. Like,
Okay.
I guess that could be a podcast too. I never thought about merging those two ideas together. I could do a reading. I could make my dreams my dream job come true.
Yeah, you can monetize your dream.
That's crazy, man. I never thought about doing that.
Hey,
But
listen. That's why we're here to spark these ideas.
I got
man.
something out of this conversation
There we
too.
go,
Like,
man. Here we go.
So, all right.
Well, that's good. Having goodwill is always a great thing, because even with the time that you have to yourself, you're thinking about being charitable to others because, I have kids and they're young and then go to school. I'm pretty sure they would love to hear a lively person like yourself read those stories in those different voices because, you try to have inflection when you're reading, but it sounds like you would actually go deep dive into those characters
for sure.
and they would actually love it. They would love it. Now, at one point you were sharing that you were selling the ads for the paper, but then you had a different dream come in front of you or a different opportunity to come in front of you. What is it that made Jake burn his ship and go all in on this new dream outside of staying under the umbrella? What is
And
it?
100% that's what had to happen, man, because my background was selling advertising in print newspaper. Do you guys remember newspapers?
Oh, yeah.
So like this is what's replaced the newspaper, videos, people telling you what's going on. I mean, I was a newspaper addict. Like when I was growing up, I would wait for the newspaper to hit my front porch. I'd wait up to hear like the flap, and then I'd hear that flap, and I'd go outside and I'd read it. I loved it. I thought the newspaper was the most important thing in the world. So when I got into like selling stuff where I wanted to work, I figured newspapers is where it was.
Right.
And then newspapers disappeared. I mean, so like people, like printing and all that stuff, like it just became cost prohibitive, and I just started seeing the writing on the wall as to what was happening, and like this whole thing's like it's burning down without me. I mean, like it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like newspapers are dying. Like what is replacing it?
Yes.
So I started looking around, trying to figure out like, okay, so what are people going to? And I saw that it was podcasts and like video podcasting, and I decided that was the direction that I had to go.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was very similar for me. I used to work for the Yellow Pages, so I know exactly what you mean as far as with print. And as we were going through that matriculation in that career, when the internet became 51% of our revenue and the book was 49, I said, it's time for me to find something else, because I really did like working for the Yellow Pages. It was super strong for that time, but times were changing, and I saw that it was changing, so I had to, go on to the next.
I mean, I
situation.
basically learned from the newspaper that's what was happening, because they started saying, all right, guys, we're going to start selling online advertising in an online directory. I'm like, oh, because that's where everything's going, and this stuff's dying. So, like,
Yep.
I got to get out of here.
That's it. Yep. Very similar path on that. And then that's when I came over to the credit card processing industry once I saw that transition happening. Now, you shared, what reason why you burned your ship and went all into that. Can you share with the audience those business owners that have gotten stuck and maybe have half foot in, half foot out? Why should they burn their ship and go all in on their business?
Man, I think that when you got to do it, like if you're a person that like when you got to get it done, that will help get it done. Like because everything gets on the line. I mean, like you're not gonna be successful half-assing anything. Pardon my language. It's very, very rare that you're gonna get the ultimate success because you did part of the job. I mean, like. Oh man, you're the number one at doing a little bit. Like if you're looking for the title of number one at doing a little bit, like keep on doing what you're doing. But otherwise, man, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Kick its butt.
Okay, cool. Now, I definitely appreciate you sharing it, sharing your story, sharing some of those skills that you've acquired. And I always like to leave the guests with the last word. So it can be a poem, a song. It can be just a quote that you go by. Whatever it is you would like to share with the audience, it's your time.
All right. I appreciate what you said at the beginning of this as one of my core ideas. The most important thing that we have is time, and sharing it with people is, I think, the most valuable thing you have. So if anybody made it to this point, like to this end of it, I really, really, really appreciate your time and sitting here and trying to figure out, what do these people have to offer my brain? And I just appreciate your time more than any other nonsense I can come up with.
Now, tell everyone how they can get in contact with you, Jake.
Sure, man. I will tell you, you can hit me at Jake Belcher, JakeBelcher, at yahoo.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time and your story. Again, I had tons of fun. Even with me doing the podcast, I know that I can open up and do something different. I can actually look at that camera over there instead of just staring straight ahead. I might gonna get up and do a backflip one day. You just never know.
You never know.
So thanks for opening my box up. I definitely appreciate that. And thanks. If I can help with anything, just let us know.
Dig it, man. You have a good one.
Thank you so much for coming by.
All right, bye.
All right. Cool. Nice. I like it, man. Yeah, you know what you're doing.